Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We are streaming out live on the Alternate Current Radio Network and also at 21stCenturyWire.com. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode 192 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio program brought to you by ACR, the Alternate Current, the only current. And we're here live in studio, and I'm with my co-host this week, Mike Robinson, editor of the UK column. Hello, Mike.
Good evening.
This is going to be a pretty intense program. We've got some guests, one of which I believe has been on the ground investigating the Grenfell Tower fire in London. David Scott is going to join us at the top of the hour at 6 o'clock UK time with some pretty, let's just say some new information, about the cover-up and what's going on. And also we're going to be joined by journalist, writer, and TV broadcaster Neil Clark, first time on the Sunday Wire. He's going to join us in the third hour. And in the meantime, before we get to that big story, and, just because it fell off the headlines, Mike, doesn't mean there's a lot going on with that story, as we've discovered in the last few days, and just by keeping kind of our finger on the pulse of the Grenfell Tower story. This is huge. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, Mike.
Well, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but they're not able to drop it off the headlines just as quickly as they would have liked, perhaps, because events keep moving on. And, we've had resignations from the chief executive and his deputy in the council, other stuff going on. But what is absolutely not being discussed still is the death toll and the missing and the injured.
The death count. That is the one thing, that number that nobody wants to take ownership of. No government, not this government in power, not the opposition, not the council, not the TMO. Nobody wants to take ownership of that number. And that number is unknown, Mike, as we speak. We've been given a number of 79, but I've just been in touch with some residents, and we'll talk a little bit about their situation maybe later on in this hour, Mike. But they can confirm that there have been people who remains to be identified, DNA matching with siblings and so forth, and that number has not gone up. And there's been multiple, reports of this, Mike.
Right. So the official number is 80. The number there is a group, a local group, have set up a Google spreadsheet in an attempt to try to get some kind of idea of who's missing still, and who was in the apartment building at the time. And so far they have only identified half, about 320 or 330. This is the last time I saw that spreadsheet. So they've only identified about half the number of people that are generally accepted to have been in the building. And their number at this point in time of dead is 88. So they're already ahead of the official statistic. But as you say, so many people in the local area saying that this is a very small number compared to what they believe to be the case.
Yeah, and we'll go into more detail about that, Mike, later in the hour.